Do you ever feel frustrated because you feel like your copy isn't as compelling or engaging as you want it to be? You feel like you put in so much effort, but something just is not clicking, and maybe you don't know if you're making mistakes and you'd like to know if what you're doing is wrong. Listen, don't worry, I get it. I've been there too with my own copy. But keep watching, because in the next few seconds, I'm about to share with you 7 copywriting mistakes that you need to avoid so you can just save time on trial and error and be doing the right things. And I won't just be sharing the mistakes, I'm also going to be sharing with you how to fix those mistakes. And I've even sprinkled in a few of my own examples, so watch out for those too. Literally, when I figured out how to avoid these mistakes, my copy instantly improved. But just one more thing before I get into this video real quick. Like always, I've got some juicy bonuses for you at the end of this video. And it's actually something you guys have been asking me a lot for. But for now, make sure you're ready with a notepad and pen or something to write stuff down on. I'll stop yapping and let's get into the video. Okay, so mistake number 1. This is not spoken about a lot, to be honest, and it's not planning your marketing message foundations before you start writing. Now, this is a pretty deep one because there's actually a lot of work that goes into this before you start writing, but it's basically one of the most important things to get down because you can't just start writing words. Let me explain. So what I find most people do, and even I've done myself when writing my copy, is relying on the launch and hope strategy, where you basically write something, you put it out for people to see, you cross your fingers and your toes, hoping that something is gonna work. And that is not a reliable way to see if your copy is good. You see, you need to know the reasons why it will work and the reasons why it won't work. That's why you need to get down your marketing message before you start writing anything. Because let's just say your copy doesn't work. Then you know it's how you crafted your message and all the marketing elements. Maybe you forgot the USP, you forgot to cover some objections, maybe you forgot your big idea, your mechanisms and stuff like that. How do you actually prepare these elements before you start writing? And what the hell even are the elements? I could literally make a whole course on how to prepare this because it's literally so deep. But here are the general elements you need to get down before you start writing. There's actually quite a lot. So you got, who are you mainly targeting? What are the pain points of this person? What are the consequences of not solving the problem? Roadblocks stopping them from getting where they want to go. Old methods, the roots of the problem, the desires, the new way, the old way, the solution, the offer, the USP, the emotional connection, the big idea, your mechanism, the benefits, your market sophistication and awareness, and what objections do your prospects have. It's a lot. There's so much stuff you need to do research and take notes of before you actually craft your message. Of course, though, it does depend on who you are writing for or what you are writing about. But without understanding your message before you write, your message won't resonate or stick. So let me give you an example of my own. Currently trying to get the document up. Let me give you a really quick example of my own marketing kind of foundations I've prepared so that whenever I go write, I can just look back on it. But I'm not going to really break it down because this could literally be for other videos. This is just an example of how I basically outline my marketing. For example, this is what I do. It's literally like the offer, the USP. I'm actually going to change this soon, and all these elements that I listed. Take the points I just shared with you, put them in a document, work on the marketing message before you start writing so that when you do go to write your copy, you can just refer back to this document of your marketing. So yeah, and this moves me nicely on to the next mistake, which is not doing your research of your audience before writing. This is by far the most important part of your copy because you see, I can give you all of the magic words and tips and tricks on how to actually write your copy, but if you do not get this foundation down first, then I'm afraid they will not save you. You see, whenever your audience is thinking about reading your copy or just reading on with your copy, they are always thinking, is this even for me? And you might have thought this when you first clicked on this video. Because if you try to make your message without knowing who you are specifically talking to, it will end up reaching nobody will read it, or the wrong person will read it. So I had this experience a while back when I was writing ads and VSLs for a client of mine, and I was so confident in the copy that, we had writ, and I thought it was going to do really, really, really well, but when we launched it, didn't really convert as well as I expected. And I kept wondering why, what's going on? And we just weren't attracting the right people, and it felt like the message was falling flat, which made me feel a bit disappointed. But then I realized that the problem wasn't really the copy, it was who the copy was speaking to. The message wasn't really resonating because it wasn't specifically targeted at the right person. So I decided to take a step back and do some in-depth research on the client's audience's specific pains, desires, focusing specifically on who the client wanted to laser target. Then, after refining the audience, reworking the messaging a little bit and even the offer, we created new ads, new VSLs, relaunched the campaigns, and literally like that, he started booking calls overnight. And now he's getting like calls basically every single day. That is the power of truly understanding who your ideal target audience is. So you have to be specific by knowing specific problems, pains, what they want, psychographics, age, gender, what type of person do you want, and even the language that they use. As what I do is I make a document, again, I make another document on my audience and the specific person that I want to target, an in-depth audience, which is also in my AI bot, but it's just so I can really nail my marketing to hit the right person. Okay, so mistake number 3, trying to make your copy about more than one idea. Now, I want you to imagine this. You're trying to tell a story, you're trying to give someone directions, explain a recipe, and teach someone how to play the guitar and drums and trumpet all at the same time. It sounds like a lot to focus on, right? Like, where do you even focus on? Now, that's exactly what happens when you try to squeeze too many ideas into one piece of copy. Hate to break it to you, but it literally ruins your message because it makes your viewers confused. And confused people never make decisions. Believe me, I've done this before and my copy was just not very persuasive. And actually, your marketing efforts get spread and it's really hard to write something when you're trying to focus on more than one idea. It's kind of like a puppet master, you're trying to... So remember, write about one idea, one concept, one principle, one moral. Just ask yourself, what's the one thing you're trying to get your prospects to believe? And I really recommend that you write a statement that, specifically says, my main idea or the main focus of this email is to get them to believe this so that they can click button or something. Write a simple sentence that you can refer back to so that you don't go off track. Okay, so moving on to, I speak English but I haven't got the words. So moving on to mistake number 4, not focusing on the first few lines of your copy. Did you know that 80% of your copy's success is determined by your hook? The first few lines of your copy make people decide whether or not they should watch, stay, or scroll away. It's like fishing. If your bait isn't good, the fish will not bite. If your bait is good, then the fish will bite and probably stay and be hooked. For example, my biggest YouTube video got 100k views, but that's because the hook pulled viewers in, making them curious to learn what the strategy was going to be about. If the hook was bad, then I wouldn't have gotten 100k views, and I wouldn't be able to help as many people as I did with the strategy in the rest of the video if my hook was bad. The same applies to your copy. So to help you write a really good hook that grabs attention, think about what your readers are thinking. What is this about? Does this interest me? Should I go do something else? Is this important right now? What will I gain by reading this? Who are you? Why should I listen to you? Why should I stay and read? Make them curious. They need to get that benefit in the first few seconds. All right, so mistake number 5, writing in big chunks. Let me ask you a question. Which text looks more interesting to you? Which one catches your eye more? This text over here or this text over here? Now, both texts say exactly the same thing, but the only difference is how the text actually looks. Now, be honest with me here. Can you really be asked to read text that looks like an essay? It's an art form in itself as well. Actually, it is actually the same as art because it's not about what you draw, but it's how you draw the drawing that really brings it to life. You want to make sure you break up your text, right? So you want to give your reader an easy and smooth experience when reading your copy. As an example, let me show you how I apply this to my own copy. This is how I write my copy. So I write very, very intentionally short lines for a reason, mainly because my audience are younger as well. So you do have to be strategical with the way you split up your text, depending on your audience, who you're writing for, and what you've actually written. but as you can see, it's like super duper clear. It's it's super easy for people to read, right? So that's what I always make sure I do in my copy. So always remember to break up your sentences into smaller, shorter sentences and style it in a way that obviously suits your audience. Okay, so mistake number 6, using complicated and confusing sounding words, basically trying to sound like fancy pants. Using fancy words and complicated language may seem like a good idea because you'll sound smart, but it's basically like putting a barrier between you and your reader. For example, the way you see things isn't the way others do. You have to really dumb down your text. It's like that one quote that goes, meet them where they are at, not where they're not. Because if your copy is too hard to read, if you're making it too confusing, then people just won't bother reading it. It applies like the same one. Making your text look good, but also making it sound good. As an exercise you can go and take away and do is you can read through your own copy and just pick out words, phrases and sentences that may be too complicated to read or just confusing and maybe there's too big words in there. What I like to do is go to my own custom AI bot that I've made, but you can go to ChatGPT, and I basically ask it to make it simpler to read. I always ask it to make it conversational. I take a bit that might sound confusing or just doesn't flow, and I would ask, make it conversational, make it grade 3 to 4 reading level. But this is the last mistake, and it might stir up some controversy in the comments section, to be honest, but not leveraging AI tools to help you write your copy. Now, as a marketer myself, a copywriter, I definitely think most AI generated content is very generic and crap. And you should definitely not rely on it to be just lazily copy and paste what the AI gives you. But the reason why I'm saying it is a mistake to not be using AI is because of this. Imagine you have 2 people. They were both given the same task to fill up a pool with water. One person decides to use a small cup, the other person decides to use a bucket. Who do you think is going to fill up the pool faster? Obviously the person with the bigger bucket, right? The lesson here is the person with the bucket was working smarter, not harder. They saved time, it was easier for them, they got the job done quicker. It's the same thing. Writing your copy on your own from scratch will take up a ton of time. It will take you much more longer, and you'll probably be met with a lot of writer's block and you'll be very confused and probably be staring at a blank screen for quite a long time. But because if you had your own marketing AI bot to help you write your copy, you have the first draft covered. You get through that phase, that hard phase of not being able to write something, and then you can just refine it to your likings after. The hardest part is getting started and actually figuring out how to put words on the screen, but that's what the AI can help you with. That's also why I made my custom AI bot, because I think ChatGPT is just generic crap. But, I basically feed it with a lot of marketing copy and stuff like that. But let me know in the comments what you think. If you had a bot like this that could actually do that for you, how do you think that could help? What do you think? Drop a comment below. I'm very curious to know. But yeah, if you avoid these mistakes, you'll see a very big difference in how your copy actually performs. And since you made it to the end, here's the bonus that I promised you and that you've been waiting for. Recently, as I said, I've been getting a lot of requests about reviewing your copy, and the last time I did a video on it, you guys loved it and you wanted more. So I'm going to be doing just that in this upcoming video. I'll be reviewing a few people's copy for free. I haven't really decided how many people I'm going to review, but if you want to be one of the lucky few, then just go to my description and DM me on Instagram. Other than that, let me know in the comments if this helped give you clarity on how to actually improve your copy. But with that being said, I'll see you in the next video.